Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Only Land Fan Show. My name is Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is Anshul Sharma. Anshul Sharma runs one of the biggest land wholesaling operations in the nation, managing a global team across multiple countries. With a laser focus on scaling through process, people, and performance, he's driving the business toward eight-figure revenue in 2025. His strategic vision encompasses building a robust operational framework that will ultimately position the company for an eight or nine-figure exit. Anshul is actively seeking exceptional talent to join this high-growth journey and help realize the company's growth plans. Anshul, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
And excellent. Better than yesterday.
Better than yesterday. What happened yesterday?
It's just getting better every day. What to say?
That's the best way to look at it, man. I love that. I love that. Hey, thanks so much for joining us again. You're back by popular demand. Your episode was incredibly popular the first time you were here. So, wanted to have you back on to do a masterclass. And today we're talking about how to scale land operations to a seven-figure revenue and beyond. So, before we jump into that, can you just give us a little bit of a 30,000 foot view of what does your business look like for those of you who might not be very familiar with Anshul's business?
Man, I think I'm a pure-bred land wholesaler, and I've been in that space for maybe longer than I should. But I have bootstrapped the company to where it is today, which is like a seven-figure gig, all wholesaling, never raised a penny from outside, not even transactional funding. So yeah, there it is. Got, got started with $5,000 and we're running a seven-figure revenue business.
That's
Crazy.
incredible. And how long have you been running your land business?
This is seventh year running.
Seventh year. That's
Hmm.
remarkable. That's remarkable, Anshul. Let me ask you this question because I'm sure you've heard this many times in the land space where a lot of people say you want to get your start possibly in wholesaling land. It's a really good beginner's business model, but then you want to start doing the traditional flips where you, with your own capital or you raise capital, and eventually there's this evolution that you become a lender at some point. So, can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit about why did you stick with wholesaling and why haven't you started deploying your own capital or anything like that?
Man, I do not have a very fancy answer for you. I don't know anything else. There is only one lane that I really understand, that's wholesaling. Now I've started to go into the subdivide and stuff like that. But that's a whole different product for me, at least in my head. It's one of those things, don't break it or don't fix it until it's broken. And wholesaling has never been broken for me. It got more sophisticated, I would say, 7 years back. My nephew or my niece could have put properties under contract on either side. But the landscape has changed. It's more for the sophisticated and professional that it has ever been, but it still works.
Yeah, I love that. I love sticking to what works for you and knowing your lane and going really deep into that. So,
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in the wholesale land space currently that maybe weren't present even a year ago?
7 years back, the market was like really in its early stages, I would say. We have more people, which is fantastic. And it just makes the game more for the pros. If you're like, hey, I'm gonna do it as a side gig, as a hobby, I'm gonna do it over the weekends. And I don't think it's that kind of business anymore. This is you call your sellers, they got like 10 offers before yours, like what you gonna do about it, right? So there's a level of sophistication that has come even in the wholesaling side of things. I see many people moving from wholesaling to subdivides because, again, it's a new territory. So for so many people, unless people catch up to it and then, oh, subdivide is not as fancy as it was in 2024, it's just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Can you walk us through what does a typical deal look like, wholesale deal look like in your business from start to finish, and then what's that average net profit?
On an average, we are doing $30,000 in net profit. That was our 2023. I think in 2024, we have pushed that. I think we are in higher 30s at this point in time. We have we are trying to get bigger deals under contract. There have been success and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of double closes, pass through. I don't do that many assignment of contract, to be honest with you, because my model is like, hey, if I can even pick it up at 70, 80% of the market value and I can flip it for 30, 40,000, I would do, just given that I've been in some market for so long, I really understand the market.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So can you walk us through step by step, what do these deals look like for people that are maybe listening to this that are not familiar with wholesaling or double closing? What does that
Mm.
look like?
Okay, this is not legal advice, and I'm not an attorney. I'm a land flipper, okay?
There you
So
go.
the way I look at this is like really into three different varieties. You get a wholesale where you sign the contract. Okay, you pick it up for 10, you sign it for 20, you make $10,000. You never take ownership, right? You just assign it. Then comes your double close, right? And this is like technical. You got to fund the first leg in order to flip the other side of the contract. That's a double close. You got to bring money to the table to close the first leg. And then is like ultimate, which is pass through. The model that I build my company, I have to bring no money to the table. You take C fund escrow, you satisfy the first escrow, and then you satisfy the second escrow. And title companies do all that for me, so I don't have to worry about it. And you just have to pick the right partner. So those are the three different deals. When I got in, I got no money. So the pass through really took me off because then I was closing 50, 60, $70,000 deals without having to bring any kind of money. And I was like, oh, great, I can do this all day long. And then
Yeah.
I was doing wholesaling and then was a double close. I didn't do double close until my second, third year when I have some kind of money rolling in and I can say, oh, I can do that $90,000 wire on AB side and close that thing. And then you can go ahead and close the other side like the next week or the next month. I wasn't in that kind of luxury situation. So first couple of years, it was straight pass through. That's all.
Yeah. So good. So, Anshul, can you talk a little bit about what are some of the biggest challenges with this pass-through closing model that you have come across? What are some of the most common ones that you see?
You got to get the tile company on your side. Choosing the right tile company is the key. I always say my best partner is a tile company. If you choose them right, when it's time for double close, they're going to handle it for you. The timing has to be so super important, right? How you
Mhm.
line up your seller, how do you line up your buyer? You got to close your seller a day before and then you close your buyer, and all of that has to be lined up. And you don't have to sweat if you got the right tile company, but if you don't, they're gonna screw it, and then you will be like, damn, why did I hire this tile company? So the first thing is you gotta interview your tile company very thoroughly. When they say double close, what do they mean by that? When they say pass through, what do they mean by that? Because many tile companies will say, oh yeah, we'll do it. And when comes time of actually doing it, they're gonna screw up your deal. So I'm like very explicit. When you say pass through, what do you mean? You need my money, you don't need my money. Just be upfront. Double close. How are you going to do a double close? How are you going to time this thing? And when they start speaking to you, if they know their game or they don't, and if they hesitate and they don't know, you just got to find another tile company. That's important. Having tile companies is important. Of course, the contract side should be set up in a way where you are educating both sides. You're like, educating the seller what I'm gonna do with this thing, and you are keeping your buyers informed that hey, at the time when you get under contract with your buyer, you have not taken possession of the property. So we are like upfront, hey, I'm not the owner on title, but when we close this thing, I will be the owner on title. But as of this moment, you signing the contract, I haven't taken the title yet. So be aware of it. And I might never be able to take title on this. Be aware of that too. But I'm trying to, and I'm gonna make it happen by the time we close the B2C side. So you have to keep both parties informed. Both parties should understand. There's a little bit nuance to it. How do you talk? How do you say? What do you say when you say? But if you do that part, I mean, it worked out. I mean, we have done around 1,000 deals now, like wholesale and pass through.
Calling all ambitious land flippers, ready to transform your business with proven systems and processes? Imagine this. One of my students recently closed 2 land deals and got another under contract in just 24 hours. That's the power of a well oiled land flipping machine. My exclusive coaching program is specifically designed for action takers just like you. We'll build out your entire operation from lead gen to Dispo, implementing these systems on real deals from day one. But hurry, I'm only accepting 3 new students until 2025. If you've done deals, have a growth mindset, and are ready to scale, visit kindlecall.com now. Let's turn your land business into a consistent profit powerhouse.
Just like, yeah, I have never borrowed a single penny. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing because my investors like, you have never borrowed money. And then I was like, yeah, I have never borrowed money. It's all bootstrapped.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. And I also love the transparency that you have with everyone involved. I think that's when wholesalers start getting a really shady reputation when they
Yeah.
don't share exactly what they're doing with the seller or the buyer. They try to, I've heard people say it's called bait and switch or whatever it is. I think that it's so important to be as transparent as you can. So, how do you approach that? Like you mentioned some nuances in
Yeah, yeah.
explaining that. Yeah.
So look, this is my pitch to my seller. Hey, what you gonna do with my property? Great question. Okay, I have done these 5 things in the past. Any property I have taken possession of, I seller finance it, I subdivide it, I wholesale it, I keep it, and there's a fifth one. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this one. I'm gonna figure it out, but this has been my 5 exits in the past. And they don't want to know all that information. As soon as you say that, okay, I get it, I get it. This is like way too much than I asked you, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And just sign the contract. Okay, so and there is nothing lie about it. We have hold on to the property, we have subdivide them, light subdivide, minor subdivide, we have owner finance them, and we have wholesale them and flip them, right? So we have done everything, and I don't know, and we truly don't know when we take possession of those properties. Some properties are great for subdivide, so, and I'm not doing this, my team is doing it. So that's the pitch. And that pitch has never failed. Never.
That's really good. Now, if someone is listening to this and they say, why wouldn't you just wholesale everything? How do you know which property that you want to wholesale or double close on? How do you decide which strategy you're going to do?
If there's no margin or thin margin, it's gonna be wholesale. Because wholesaling assignment is easy. 5K, 7K, 10K, you can pick on a contract and move on. Because at the end of the day, your buyer know, your sellers know how much you're picking up as an assignment fee. If it cannot be subdivided, then it gotta be flipped. Either you double close it or pass through it, depending on how you are set up with the tile company and how tile company works. Some need double close, some need money to fund the first transaction, some don't. And those who don't, you can do pass throughs. But those who do need your money to come in escrow, first escrow A to B, you got to double close them. So that's the strategy. Some are cheap properties, and we can do a $2,000 or $3,000 down, and we seller finance them. We wouldn't know at the time, like I'm not doing this, my team is doing it. They wouldn't know at the time what is the best exit. Once we get these properties under contract, we just have a round table and say, hey, what's the best exit? What we want to do with this thing? We just took a portfolio under contract in Texas, some like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 odd properties, like all clustered together. Amazing seller financing gig. I'm not going to sell them. The neighborhood doesn't support cash value. They would love to finance this thing. The city is coming up. They can put everything today. So they're going to wait for the property anyway, seller finance it. So that's how we decide. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, you mentioned that when you're doing a double close, and even when you're doing a wholesale, it's really important that timing is really paid close attention to, right? Because you have to line up this buyer, you have to line up the closing because it's all time sensitive. So,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what you do from a dispo standpoint? If you have these properties under contract and your time is ticking on this first
Right.
contract with the seller, what do you do for Dispo to ensure that finding that buyer very quickly?
In the first 5 days, the property got to hit the market. Or to be just technically right or legally right, the contract got to hit the market. Right? So within 5 days, we got to figure it out, whatever there is to the property, collect all the information and get it on the market. We don't waste time because, as you said, time is ticking. We got 90 days. Our contracts are 90 days. So fifth day, they hit the market. We don't look for fancy pictures. Like we collect couple pictures. AI generates listing. Shout out to Callan for all the AI stuff.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And we put this together. Fifth day, sixth day, the property got to hit the market. And then you got 85 or 82 days left to see even if this is a deal, because sometimes the property go hit the market and the first 30 days crickets, first 15-day crickets. Now you know that it will take some time or some other strategy to close this deal, right? So you got enough time to either go negotiate with the seller because you thought, oh, this will be 100,000, but the market doesn't support that price. You got ample period of time to figure out a solid exit strategy. And look, if you think this is not a deal in the first 30 days, it's better to cancel the contract versus you got to wait until the last day. No, we are not perfect. We have closed contracts on the very last day, and there's always a seller remorse coming with that, and we try to
Yeah.
avoid. With so many contracts, there's always a contract that like, shoot, man, it's the last day. What are we supposed to do with this? right? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But yeah, this is what we do. We are quick to the market, gauge what's going on, see what kind of views, what kind of feedback we are getting from the market, and we adjust price accordingly. We do not take 30 days to adjust the price. We take that feedback within 1 week, 10 days, and we adjust the price. I do not like to sell my properties on discount, by the way. Do not get me wrong. I'm not a 20% guy. Hey, I'm gonna give you a 20% discount. If I can give zero discount, I will give zero discount because I'm running a for-profit business. And even if I can sell above market value, I will sell above market value. But price helps. Price,
Yeah.
you change price, you tweak price, the property gets up, at the bottom of the MLS system or Facebook, wherever you're selling this thing. So price is a strategy. The other thing is the sales team. I'm very proud of my sales team. Shout out to my sales team, my marketing team, right? Those guys know how to hustle. They know how to call people. They call them fifth time, sixth time, follow up, put the property in the contract. So having a clean sales process, going from putting this property to the market, how do you close, is super important.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, you mentioned getting it on the market within 5 days. Are you guys listing your properties mainly in the MLS, or where are you listing your properties?
MLS, I think we are on land.com as well, Facebook Marketplace. We have started doing cold calling, realtors, neighbors, that kind of stuff. Signboards, if you can stick up signs, all the regular stuff. We do not have a spatial place to go and list our properties. It's the same stuff that everybody does. Maybe we have a buyer's list now. Doing this for 7 years, we have a good, healthy buyer's list. But outside of that, I think we double down on our sales process. Like we go crazy on phone. And we know once a lead comes into our pipe, how to treat it, right? How to qualify it, how to qualify it for an earnest money, how to get it under contract, sign the contract. That process is very clear. So we do not end up losing leads. If a lead is coming in the pipe, we make sure either they did, they don't like the property, or if they like the property, we got to put them under contract. Like it's like a process.
Yeah. So you mentioned earnest money. Are you putting earnest money on everything, or what's your policy when it comes to that?
Earnest money on the buyer side,
On
not
the
on the
buyer
seller
side.
side.
Yeah,
Yeah, on
got
the
it.
buyer side. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're putting earnest money, definitely getting earnest money on the buyer side.
Oh, good. No, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. And so whenever you do list your properties in the MLS, are you listing with a traditional realtor? Or are you doing like a flat fee broker?
Flat fee broker.
Yeah. Cool.
We got an amazing sales team. I mean, we beat realtors all day long. By the time we think about listing the property, we have a buyer. No offense to any realtors listening to it. They don't even come close. Like we have an average 42 days to find a buyer. On an average,
Wow.
in 42 days, regardless of the property, where it exists, we find a buyer in 42 days.
That's incredible. Can you give us like a 30,000 foot view of what your sales process looks like on that Dispo
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, the lead comes in and we do a pre-qualification. Hey, what got you interested in the property and understanding their dominant buying motive. Hey, I want to raise a family. I want something, whatever they want to buy the property for. So you get that. And the biggest thing is we encourage them to go see the property. That's a milestone. Okay.
Yeah.
And once they go see the property and call us, that means they're qualified. Okay, no buyer in their right mind will go to the property and call you back. If they're calling you back, you better close that lead because they are interested. They saw the property, they already saw the price. So they saw the property, they saw the price. There's nothing else to be unraveled there. And if there's an objection, that's what you got to solve for. So next comes objection handling. Oh, I saw the property and it got like whatever, dead people on it or weeds on it, whatever the case is, right? You got to handle that objection, okay, and ask for the next objection. Keep isolating until they are running out of objections. And then if price is an objection, negotiate and put them under contract.
Excellent. And what are some of the most common objections that you get from buyers who go out look at the property?
Man, the property, bro, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to get into the property. Have you been to the property? Man, I drove down there. It's rough. I got a four-wheeler and somehow I made it to the property. Like all those kind of stuff. Price. Man, given the property the way it is, man, you guys are overpriced or whatever, right? So price objection, how they got to the property, utilities, but those are all complaints, right? One of the things that I learned from my mentor, these are all complaints. These are not deal breakers. And sometimes if you are a kind of a novice salesperson, you get rolled into this,
Mm,
right? You got to
yeah,
handle it and put it aside and say, what's the next one, right? That wouldn't
excellent. Yeah.
that wouldn't stop you from buying the property, would it? No, it wouldn't stop me, but I'm just saying it got all weeds and dead people on the property. Oh, I understand. What's next? What else would stop you from signing this contract today? Okay, price. Okay, let's talk about price, right? Whatever it is, we take it as a complaint, knowing that it's not a real thing that will stop them. Take it, make sure that we're gonna fix it and move forward to the next one.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
sounds like you're very proud of your team. And anytime I've heard you speak or seen your stuff on social media, it's always very team centered. You're very proud of your team. Looks like your team is the backbone of your company. So, can you talk a little bit about how do you go about training specifically your sales team? Let's start with sales team on the Dispo side, since that's what we were just
Yeah.
talking about. So, what does that look like?
I just came back from Nicaragua, man. 90 days in Nicaragua. It was awesome. My entire sales team is in Nicaragua. And it was funny because I had Kevin on my team and I like Kevin, we got to stand up a team in Nicaragua. He was like, boss, let's go. So the next thing I know, I'm hopping on a flight, spend 90 days in Nicaragua. Anyways, long story short, we went there, we hired a team. I believe I have a team of seven people there. We have three in marketing, four in sales, and we're doing amazing. We were there and I was training them. I am myself trained from Grant Cardones of the world, so I come from that side. I've spent like last 3, 4 years just diving into what sales is. I always thought that I'm a pretty natural salesperson. Some of these things like really helped me hone my personal sales skills. And yeah, I was just there. And my way of training people is just taking real calls. I was sitting with them and I was taking calls from buyers and I was showing, hey, if you run into this situation, what to say, when to say, how to say it, and all that kind of cool stuff. And then, of course, there's a process. We have a sales process. They know how to start, they know how to isolate the objection, they know how to handle it, and they know when to ask for a close. It's important in sales when to ask for a close. You don't go on date on first date and you like, hey, at that point you probably might be holding hands. But if you go anything beyond that, it's probably you're trying to ruin the date right there. So there's a timing to it. So yeah, you should know the timing, you should know the sales process, when to say, what to say, what's a trial closes, when you should know you're getting to a trial close, when you should know when you're getting to a close. It's the science of sales. And I'm glad that I run into this. There are many gurus who does the sales thing. So I'm not promoting Cardone or anybody, but you got to stick to a sales guy, whoever you want to learn sales from, because I thought that sales is just like just talking, right? There is no process to it until I found a process. I'm like, "Phew, amazing. I know where I'm in the sales process. Like how cool it is if you know where you are in the sales process. Are you in the beginning, in the middle, or you are at the end of the sales process? Right? And most of the people don't know where they are in the sales process. They like screw the sales because they ask for things they should not be asking because as I said, you are on a date, man, and you might end up holding hands on the first date, but I don't know how far you want to go, right? Not probably
Yeah.
too far if you're serious about it. So you're gonna go slow. But if you don't know what that is, you're gonna screwing things up. So yeah, sales is important. Sales process is important.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I love just that idea of being intentional with
Yes.
your process. And so I know that you can't build a seven-figure business without being intentional about something. So can we jump back to what was that process like for you when you started scaling your business? Imagine having a complete toolkit for success right at your fingertips. That's exactly what you get with Only Land Fan School, our premium online community. For a low monthly fee, access our treasure trove of resources, the on-market deals course, acquisitions tool suite, and Dispo Secrets library. Plus, connect with fellow flippers in our active community. Whether you're hunting for deals or closing sales, Only Land Fan School has you covered with step-by-step guidance and insider knowledge. Ready to supercharge your land flipping journey? Join Only Land Fan School at olfschool.com today.
It was pretty like, hey, we gotta hire people. I mean, that's natural. I mean, you gotta delegate. You cannot be seven figures and not delegate.
Yeah.
Now, some people are more natural with delegation and they know who to hire first and who to hire, what the third hire looks like, and fifth and seventh. but I don't think you can get to a seven figure without delegation and hiring. Okay. Once you hit the seven figure, I think process and documentation and KPIs become a thing. Once you get to 3, 4, $5 million in revenue, then you have bigger problems. Then you have leadership. Who's gonna lead this thing? Because it becomes its own thing. And so that's the time when you have like leadership, technology, process, all of that has to be tightened up. A vision is super important because you cannot take the ship to 5, 6, 7 figures or 5, 6, 7 million or $10 million without a vision. The vision got to be super clear. Why you going and what these people that coming along with you will get if you guys get to that number. What's in it for them? Better pay, better work environment, security of job, more vacation, better camaraderie, something that has never been done before, right? Hey, I always tell my guys, hey, you are part of the biggest land wholesale operations in the country. How unique is that? Man, I'm part of a team that has never been put together before. And maybe somebody have done it. I haven't found that person. And even if I found that person, I would like to think that we have one of the biggest land wholesale companies in the world, right? So it's pretty unique, right? So if somebody like, hey man, do you know I'm the part of the biggest land wholesale operations in the country? So I don't know. People get attached to things. Not everything is money. People are like, hey, I feel proud where I work. I feel respected. I get to experiment some, whatever that thing is, you got to bring that to the table. So leadership is important. Like leadership is the most important thing once you surpass a certain number. I don't think you can build a $5 or $10 million company and have no vision or leadership.
Yeah. So how do you go about communicating your vision to your team in a way that they buy into that?
What's in it for them? If they don't know what's in it for them, when we go from 5 million to 10 million to 100 million, they're not going to do it. It will be a chore. They need to know if company grows, are they growing with the company in terms of compensation? Or they becoming better titles? Or they getting a piece of this? Like our entire company is commission. Everybody's commission. Doesn't matter. Back office, front office, sales, and matter. If you're in the company, you got a commission, right? So they know if we're pushing hard, they will have a different paycheck that month. We have monthly commissions. We don't do quarterly. It's a lot of work to be like monthly paying commissions for all the thing. But hey, they know if we are pushing hard, everybody is getting a better, bigger paycheck at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's really
So
cool. How do you structure your commissions? Just
most aggressive is sales guys, and then it goes down from there. But everybody's commission, right? Like you can design the way you want it, but sales is probably the most aggressive. Then leadership is pretty aggressive in the way they get commission. But yeah, but everybody's commission.
that's
As long
very
as you
cool.
spend 3 to 4 months in the company, we know you, you like us, we like you get on a commission.
I love that. So we have been around the land space for a bit
Yeah.
now, and I know that one of the most popular sort of trains of thought when it comes to scaling a business is let me hire a VA and then all my problems will be solved. So
Right.
can you talk a little bit about when someone is trying to go from step one to step two and building out a team, what are some things that a lot of people don't consider when they're in the process of growing a team that they really should be thinking about?
They have to be with them. A lot of people think I'm gonna hire 5 people, I'm gonna tell them what they need to do, and then I'm gonna walk away. And then when I come back, I expect that stuff to be done. If you really want to build a true company, you gotta be in the trenches until you don't have to, right? Like I was in the trenches with my sales team in Nicaragua, spent 90 days with them, day and night, right there, taking phone calls, responding to text messages to the point that I know that these kind of guys can do it. Now I don't have to. I don't know when was the last time I picked any buyer's phone call, right? As we have been scaling, we have been hiring people and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not picking calls with my buyers. I'm not writing these contracts. I'm not closing these deals. I'm doing nothing regarding the operations of the company. It's been taken care by somebody else who has been trained by me or somebody of my caliber and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm doing training right now. I'm on the acquisition side and we are hard on training right now. how to pick phone, how to close more deals, how to close bigger deals, smaller deals, all that kind of stuff. That's where my time is going right now in the company. And that's all I'm doing because I want to do it myself. I want to be the example before I tell anybody that this could be done. I cannot be a hypocrite, right? Hey, do this, get me this, and go, and you haven't done yourself. Then be like, hey, dude, you don't even know how to do it, and you're telling me how to do it, and that kind of creates like a thing. So yeah, that's how I do it. I just get into it. I teach it whatever I need to do, and then I get out of it, and then we are
Yeah,
good.
that's so good. That's so good. So you just mentioned acquisitions. What are you currently doing for from an acquisition standpoint in your business? Are you guys, you mentioned texting, mentioned cold calling. What are you doing? All of the things? Let us in on what that looks like.
No, we're doing only RVMs. Quite honest with you, we're not doing cold
RVMs.
calling, we're not doing texting, we're doing RVMs. Now we just started put a team together for cold calling, which will be doing cold calling for us. But all this time, probably last 1 year, we just spent RVing people. We just RVMs, that's all. I haven't even texted. It's been like 9 to 12 months now. We haven't even texted. I have the last mailer that went out was in 2021. I haven't sent a single mailer
Yeah,
kind of stuff. Yeah.
very cool. And so what is it about RVMs that you like?
Path of dude, this is like there's no strategy to it. This is like path of least resistance. We load up the RVM every day with 10, 15,000 leads and we start shooting them off. And then here comes the phone call. Like it's the path of least resistance. There is no like, why did I choose RVM over text? I might just go back to text and just stop RVMs altogether. I don't know. There is no strategy to it. I like RVM. It's quick. You load the leads up, and the next thing you know, the calls start coming in. I like that idea, quick to market. But that's it. Now
Yeah,
we are doing cold calling because cold calling is a thing, and we haven't been doing it, so we need to do that.
yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of cold calling.
Yeah,
So
good.
can you talk a little bit about what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys have on the acquisition side when you are running this sort of double close model? Because I know there are a lot of people that are sellers are intending, oh, I'm going to get this contract and I'm going to get a check. But we know that it doesn't quite work that way when it comes to double close and wholesaling. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So look, I have a transaction department. I have people that handle seller relationship, right? And they are in touch with them. So we have a 90-day contract. If seller comes by, hey, when we gonna get to a close? Let me see your contract. It's 90 days, so we still have a couple of weeks left, right? So there's person who is managing these relationship after we put them under contract. There's always somebody say, hey, like what you guys waiting on? Get me paid, right? And so if they want to get paid, we might just get them paid move on. But that's 1 in 20 or 30 sellers. Other sellers are willing to wait, right? And that's why we have a strong dispo because we don't want to make them wait for 90 days, though we have them under contract for 90. What if we can just close the contract in 45, 60 days? That's why I have to stand up a strong dispo team because if you are wholesaling and your dispo is weak, you have a lot of problems. You have a lot of problems. You can't run this business without a dispo team. I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. So what are some of the main seller objections that you get in the acquisitions process?
You guys are scam. Add two more zeros to your offer. Man,
I'm laughing because I've heard these calls. I know this.
all sorts of things. Price is the biggest. Obscurity is the second. Like we don't know you. You're a scam. What else? We get a ton of them, but it revolves around they don't know you. They think you're a scam, or price is an objection.
Yeah, so where do you like to be? Is there like a rule of thumb in terms of price that you like to be in getting these types of deals under contract?
Depends our portfolio. If I look at all the portfolio we got under contract, we are around 55% of the market value, 55 to 60%. And we are comfortable with that. We know we can flip it at 90, 95% of the market value. So that number works for us. Ideally, we would like to be at 45, 50, but right now we are 55 to 60%. Some are bigger contracts, so we tend to take them at 70, 80% of the market value because we know we can still make some kind of money. So that skews and pushes out at 50, 60, but that's where we are right now.
Okay, and is there a property size or maybe a value of property that you're seeing is like the bread and
Yeah,
butter of your business right now?
we don't do infill lots. I don't do desert squares. I don't do recreational. I don't do anything middle of nowhere. I like to stay probably 3 to 4 hours of any big city. 2 to 3 hours is sweet spot, but we can go up to 4 hours depending where we are.
That's great. And do you have a size preference?
Not really. Try to do anything between 1 to wherever, 500 acres, depends.
Yeah.
No, not really. Yeah.
Excellent. So just curious, why no infill lots?
Man, those are, I don't like them. There's a kind of a due diligence that goes into it, which I don't find in property sitting outside of city limits. There are less aha moments than you have in infill lots. You have to run a survey, maybe some easement going on and all that kind of cool stuff. So I try and avoid them. If they come into our pipe for whatever reason, we assign them. I will never be a buyer for an infill lot. It's just not my comfort level regarding due diligence that go into an infill lot. And so we assign them. If we have them, we try not to have them. I think there's enough acreage sitting outside city limits and like that we want to focus on. Then you can also subdivide them, right? If you get 10, 20, 30 acres outside of city limits, you can also subdivide them. So that's there to it. So yeah, that's why. Otherwise, we have flipped enough infill lots. It's just not my first strategy. I don't get excited.
Gotcha. And I've heard it said many times that the further away from like a major metro area, the
Mm.
more difficult it becomes to really comp a property. So, how do you guys go about making so many offers and comping properties in your particular strategy? How do you approach that?
I don't know what to tell you, but we use the right tools. I've trained my team. So that's where it comes. I've trained my team. If I can find comps, I expect my team can find comps too in counties where there's pretty much no comps. So I've trained the team in a way, hey, how do you go finding a value of a property when there are no comps? So they understand that part. But you're not making market value offers. You're making like 40, 50%. So there's a lot of room for error, I would say. Not every time we are right on our market value, but you have to be comfortable with that. If you want to scale the business and you want to look at every contract that goes out of the door, I don't think you can stand up a company because there's a lot of offers that goes out of the door. We have given them a strong framework. We have some things like land desirability score. We have CPI index. These are terms that we have created internally in our system. They understand it. So if we say, hey, what's the LDS on this? And somebody says 9. So we know the property is up and up. There's no wetland, there's no floodplain, that kind of stuff. So there are things. And again, this is training. I have trained my team. They know
Right.
how to find comps when there are no comps, right? That kind of stuff. So there's a framework to this. This is not like I just hired people, comps people, and say, hey, start comping. We
Right.
train these people from ground up.
Yeah. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, Anshul, how do you find comps when there are no comps? Can you give us a nugget here? What are you, how would you teach someone to do that?
It's like, where do you find salespeople? You don't. And all salespeople already have a job. Like now you can find somebody who's ready to hustle. You can find somebody with right mindset. You can find somebody with great communication skills and all put together make best ingredients for being a salesperson. How do you do sales? We have a training for that. We have Cardone you, myself, we all come together and teach you how to sell. But if you don't have the right mindset, you don't have communication skills, you do not have the tenacity, the capacity, the persistence, it doesn't matter. You're not going to cut it for a sales job. So you got to have those ingredients. And that's the ingredients that I'm looking for any role. Hey, for comms, do you know math? If you don't know math, it will, it will not be the right place for you. Do you know how to run
Right.
computers? Can you be on Google Map? Are you logical thinking? Like critical thinking is your thing. If you can think critically, then probably this is not the place for you. So there are ingredients that we look for, and then we train them because we know they have those skill set, that mindset that needs for that role.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Your team is looking at a property and
Yeah.
there are no sold comps and there are no for sale comps anywhere near the property. Is that a deal killer for you
Hey there,
or
land fans.
what do you
If you're
guys do
enjoying
for
this
that?
episode and would
We
like to
should
see
not be in
more
that county.
episodes
Why
like
would be in
this,
a county
please be
where
sure
there
to
is
let
no
us know.
sold or sale? That's a whole different problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
it's not realistic. You always get some sale or sold comps. And if there's for sale, they should know how to recalibrate that number to see what this property will be sold for. So let's say it's listed for $100,000. That's the only comp and it's for sale. Then you go and look at some statistics. Hey, how many views? How many saves? It's been listed for 60 days and 2 people watched this whole thing. So now you know that $100,000 is a fake number. Okay, if that's not the number, where do you think it will sell? Maybe it will sell at 30%, 40% what it's listed for, right? Or if you go see the property and damn, 2 days and 61 people liked it. Now that price is a pretty strong price. So you can literally take that price and use that price almost as a sole comp to do your evaluation. So all of those things have been taught, shown, they understand, and that's how we make offers, man. It's not accurate, it's not 100% accurate, but if you got to scale the business, you got to take those kind of risks.
Yeah, that's a
I've
really,
been
really
off. We have been off on our thing. Like sometimes you're like, damn, who wrote this? Who wrote this contract? There
That's
is
a
no
really good
margin.
point. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
think that that's really good because I think that there are a lot of people that are afraid to delegate or they're afraid to bring people on and scale because they're afraid of making a mistake. But I think that like what you said, there has to be you just have to embrace the fact that there will
yeah,
be some errors and you can always adjust. You can always fix it, right?
yeah. Give a framework. You can also do like a school style or a college style. We do test every month. There's a test. They got to sit for 3 hours and they will be evaluated like very old school style. Give them 25, 30 difficult comps and say, hey, let's see where they sit on those. How
That's
much does
great.
this work? Yeah, it's straightforward, pretty straightforward. Give
Yeah.
them 35, 40 pounds and see who's where. And then you get to know where their strong point is, where they're weak. Some people struggle with large acreages. Some people are cool with infill lots. Some people don't know how to evaluate a commercial property. And then you know their strength and you know their weakness, and you can just work on their weakness and just fix it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I'm going to jump over to the global presence that you have because I know that you have teams in different countries. So what's the thought process behind that? Why did you create these different teams across different countries instead of saying, oh, we're going to stick in just Nicaragua or something like that?
I didn't create them. These people called me. So
Wow.
I had a person in Egypt and she was like, hey, let's do it. I was like, okay. And the next thing now I'm hopping on a flight and we standing a steam there. I had a person in my company, Leslie, for 5 years now. And it was time and say, hey, let's go. And we stand up a team in Philippines. So it was not me picking, they picked me. And they say, hey, we want to expand. We don't know, we want to do more. And this is like clearing the mindset, right? We are a growing company. If you don't know where you're going, your people wouldn't like to contribute. They're like, dude, I think you're cool with a $2 million company every year. And so there is no desire to expand. There is no conversation going on. We're going 10 million, $12 million next year. So we're thinking differently, man. Like we have 5 people. Can we hire 5 more? How are we going to do it? Who's going to coach them? So these people who wants to grow, they will raise the hand and say, hey, how can we do this? Can you come and we expand this thing?
Yeah.
So I did not pick these places. These places picked me. I never thought I'll be in Egypt. I never thought I'll be in Nicaragua. I never thought I'll be in Philippines. Swear to God. There was nothing on my map that I got to visit these 3 countries. Nothing wrong about the countries. They were not on my radar that I have to visit them. It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's remarkable. So what has been the biggest challenge for you scaling your company to the point where it is today?
Man, I don't know if there's a biggest challenge. It's a hustle and it's a grind. It's not easy to run a 39, 40 people company that's spread like different places, doing different things. It's a hustle and it's a grind. Okay. If your vision is not clear where you want to go with this, do not try this at home. I will not recommend anybody. Swear to God. If you're not clear that you want to go 10 million, you have no need to do this. Okay. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of mindset. It takes a lot of back and forth, people going, people coming. Now we have an HR department. If you don't want to, if you don't want to go that far, there is no need to do this because it is a hustle and it's a grind. Okay, now can you do this like with 5 entitlement deals in a year? And you sure you can, and there's a path over there, right? So it's really up to you how you want to scale and how you want to bring revenue. That is the path that I knew, and I got gravitated towards. Okay. But I think above all, you need a clear vision. Like if you're not willing to grow, and for you, like I hear business owners and they got no revenue goals. And I'm like, how can you be a business owner and not have a revenue goal? Like, how does that work? Like, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, we have a revenue goal for next year. It's very clear. Everybody in the company knows where we're going next year. Everybody understands. Okay. So yeah, you gotta be committed, man. I don't know. I like it. I do it. I'm not sure if it's for everybody, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, let's talk about that revenue goal idea because there's a lot of buzz around the word scaling and seven
Yeah.
figure this. And can you talk a little bit about what that really means to have a revenue goal? And, you know, how can people determine, oh, I want $1 million business, I want a $10 million business?
Yeah.
What are some of those insights that you can share around that process?
One of the things that I learned, one of the biggest thing I learned from Grant Cardone is 6 years back, say, hey, pal, you always keep an eye on the top line. Keep an eye on the top line. Don't worry about the expenses. Don't worry about nothing. Okay. The businesses that grow, top line is a super important number for them. You take any business that's growing, top line is important for them. Does it comes with more expense, more operational cost, more everything? Yeah, for sure. So for me, the focus has been top line all the time. We have grown our expenses. Like our expenses look very different than they used to 4 years back. You got a payroll, you got software, you got marketing costs, you got HR, you got, damn man, right? That expenses look different. So if you're not comfortable with that, paying payroll every month and where the money coming from and all that kind of stuff, it's not gonna work. But top line is important for me. Where we are going next year, where we are this year, where we going next year. Because if the top line keeps growing, your business is growing. It's very clear. Expenses will come with it. Don't worry about the expenses. We'll figure
Yeah,
it out.
yeah, that's really good. So let me ask this question. This might be a little bit controversial, but
Yeah.
when setting a revenue goal, what is it that you should really be considering? That's part one. And part two is, what would you say to someone that would say, of course, I want a $10 million business? Who would be in
Yeah.
business and doesn't want a $10 million business? Should everyone aspire to have a multi seven figure business? Give us your thoughts on that.
I don't know if you need a $10 million business. I don't think everybody needs a $10 million or everybody aspire for a $10 million business. If you have $1 million business, land business, you're probably taking home maybe 300K, 350K in kind of net or
Yeah, say that
300K.
again. Say
So,
that again.
so in my experience, if you have $1 million business revenue sales, you're probably taking home 250, 300, 350, 400, depends how you run the business, right? That enough for you? I don't know. Is 250 enough for you that replaces your W-2, right? And you just keep riding that $1 million wave for like next 10 years, and you might be fine. If you have a $5 million business, imagine your expenses going up. Then you'll be like, damn, my expenses go up now. I don't have that kind of margin anymore. Why am I doing this? But your income goes up as well. I rather have a 30% net $5 million business than 50% net $1 million business. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because, but I don't know if you want a $5 million business. That's why the why and vision is very important. Why you want to take this path? Because this path is difficult, at least in my opinion. There are other people out there that say, hey, it's a breeze and I got to learn from them. But in my
yeah.
opinion, this path is difficult. So if you do not have a strong why you need money or what you want to do for the company, for the people, I think it will be difficult. And it gets even more difficult as you pass 3 million, $3.5 million in revenue. Things get really serious after that. It's not, hey, I gotta just add more people and get to a 10. It doesn't work that way. There'll
Yeah.
be more processes. There will be more, you got to be more strategic. You got to have a leadership team. Who are your guys who are going to run this company with you? It just goes in a different direction.
Yeah. New level, new devil, right?
Yeah.
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 So
Exactly.
can you break down the processes that you use to document and systemize your business? What types of processes are you doing for that?
Every department lead is given the task of document, right? Um, Initial days I used to do it, but now they do it. So as new process comes up, they are on the hook to document it. Have you have the entire company documented? Not yet. That would be an aspirational goal for me. I would love to have that thing, but we are on our way to document, put a process together, have KPIs, and have reporting. So these four things is the way I believe from a $1 to $10 million business. If you do nothing else, four things I believe: process, put a process. Bad process, good process, got to have a process because process improvise. Two, make sure you document it, either document it or create videos, whatever. Okay. Number three, you got to have KPIs. You have a department level KPI, you have an individual KPI, you have a company level KPI. And the fourth thing, you should know how to report on those KPIs because KPIs has no value if you can report on them. You can hold yourself accountable, company accountable, people accountable. So you got to have those four things going on if you want to scale this thing. Other than having a strong vision is important. Just keep that as the focal point.
Yeah, that's so good. So if someone's listening to this and you know what, I'm all in. I need to do those four steps. What types of KPIs, how do you go about identifying what your KPI should be and defining that out?
Three levels. We have three levels of KPI. Organization KPI, which is, hey, how much in revenue, how much in gross profit, and I'm responsible driving that KPI. That's my KPI in the business. Then there are department level KPIs. Hey, how much sales we need to do, how much properties we need to put under contract on the acquisition side. So that becomes a department level KPI. And then the individual KPI, how much I need to put under contract every single month. So those are lagging KPIs, and then they have leading KPIs. In order to put, let's say, $500,000 under contract every month, how many phone calls I need to make, all that kind of stuff. So leading KPIs, lagging KPIs, and those three levels: individual, department, and organization.
Yeah,
Do we
love
have
that.
all of them? No, we would like to have all of them, but we have quite a bit of KPIs now. And KPIs are interesting because when you have KPIs and people who do not want to perform, they will chicken out pretty quickly. They're going to resign. You don't have to ask for resignation. You don't have to fire them. They're going to fire themselves. That's the beauty of having a KPI.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What tools or software have been really important to your business in managing this global operation?
I love Follow Up Boss.
Yeah, tell us about that. How do you use Follow Up Boss?
We have, I mean, if you want to be sharp on your acquisition sales, you got to have a system that is like you can call from that system, you can text, you can email, everything is at one place. So there are many systems out there. I'm not saying Follow Boss is the only one, but the kind of view that Follow Boss gives you, where you can text somebody, you can email, and you can call all from the same page, and you know where the conversation is going. Even if you leave the company, anybody coming in can read the entire conversation and say, oh, okay, this is the last time where we left this. As a matter of fact, before coming to a call, I'm looking at a property, amazing subdivide, and that person left my company, and where she left the conversation was almost there for a close.
Wow.
I called the guy back up, and this is a freaking subdivide. This is like a 1.6, 1.56 like exit if you like put, and I called the guy, and now we are having a conversation, and he hasn't still sold the property. But had I had not that system, all this conversation would have been left with her because she left the company. But it's everything is in there. So I just pick it back up where she left, and now we're having a conversation. I'm gonna send him a contract. My attorney will write it up. But that's the beauty. Like you got to have that system. People come,
Yeah.
people leave, but conversations stay. We use Salesforce as our deal management system. So do not recommend anybody doing Salesforce. It's super expensive. I think there are other systems. But if you want to build $100 million company, probably Salesforce is the way to go.
Yeah,
It's
it's definitely
expensive,
an
man.
industry standard and a lot like the realtors and stuff like that use.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it's nice. We can literally change anything overnight, depend on where we want to take the business. The reporting is absolutely top class. If you are a business owner, you can pretty much do reporting on anything, which is like amazing. Hey, how much money coming in, going out, KPIs, everything. Campaign management, marketing costs, it all handled inside Salesforce.
Wow, that's great. What is your current cost per deal in terms of like your acquisitions cost, your marketing and things like that right now?
Probably $3,000 to $4,000 per lead.
Oh, not bad. Not bad at all.
And we
I'm
we
sure
we
you
still
want that number to be lower, but yeah,
yeah, we're still trying experimenting RVMs. We have changed the business a lot. Let me
yeah,
just say that. We're not the business that we were 3 to 4 years back. I'm restructuring the company. I'm going through a lot of restructure to see if we can go beyond 10 million and stuff like that. That's another thing. What's working for 3 million, we're not going to work for 10 million. It's just not, you need better, you need different people, better people, more vision, more leadership, and that kind of stuff. So we letting other people in the company and letting others go, which doesn't fit the vision. They don't want to grow, all that kind of stuff.
yeah. So how do I do
Sorry.
want to, I no, it's great. I want to dig into that. So can you share a little bit about your framework in terms of how you manage a team that size and ensure quality and give them feedback and make sure they're growing the way that they need to be growing?
We have department head that roll up to me. We have operations manager as well. And we hold them to KPIs. KPIs is like really a very easy way to track the company at whatever level you want to track. You want to track somebody's performance, put KPI and see where they're going with that. Right? There's a red, yellow, and green. Are you green? Are you yellow? Or are you red? And if you're going towards yellow, hey, let's figure it out what's going so we can fix it before it turns red.
Yeah.
So KPI is important. If you wanna grow and you do not want too much and you still want to be grow and be sophisticated about it, put KPIs. There's no perfect KPI, but gotta have a KPI. So you can hold people accountable. Be realistic with your KPIs. Do not put a KPI that they cannot achieve because then the morale goes down. Okay, so have a KPI that they can aspire for. So that kind of stuff. But I'm looking for more leadership. I'm looking for an operations manager and all that. So that leadership team I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think quantifiable
Yeah.
data is so important. It's not
It
just, you can't scale on just like a feeling, right? Like you have to
is.
have numbers that drive your
Yeah.
decisions. I think that's really important. That's fantastic. Hey, listen, Anshul, I want to thank you so much for being so generous with your time. It's always incredible to have you on. So many gold nuggets that you shared with us today. So, how can we give back to you right now? What are you looking for in your business? How can we help you?
I hope the chat was helpful, Kendall. Sometimes I don't even know because this is like everyday business. I
It's
hope
so good. It is
it
so
helps
good.
somebody. I don't know. Yeah, but good if it does. I'm hiring right now. We are hiring on acquisitions position, contract negotiator. So if you like to negotiate contracts on the acquisition side with my sellers, we have a six-figure position open. If you wanna text me or write an email to my HR department, we are literally hiring at this time 1 or 2 people who can negotiate contract. We have 9,000 contracts to negotiate on. So if you are interested and you think you can negotiate and that's your thing and you're looking for a six-figure gig, hit us up. I think we have a place for you.
I love that. And do you have your email for your HR on the top of your
Yeah.
head, or what is that?
L- can I type it in the chat window?
Yeah, you can type it in the chat.
All right, perfect. There we go. We have multiple positions open. So if you think that you want to be part of the biggest land wholesale company that exists on planet Earth, hit us up.
Amazing. I love it. And for those of you listening, it's hr@goldsoilrealty.com if you're interested in joining Anshul's team. Anshul, thank you so much. We'll put that in the show notes as well. Awesome. Thank you so much. Anshul, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for taking the time to join us on this Halloween edition of the Only Land Fans podcast. Fantastic to have you on. Be sure to join us next week. Again, Anshul, just a wealth of information. This has been absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for that.
Thanks,
Until
man.
then, take care, be safe. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye. If you're interested in hearing from other 6 and 7 figure land flippers about how they've built and run their businesses, then check out my group, Only Land Fans, where I do a live interview each week inside the group. You can grab that link at the description below. Until then, be great, have a great week, and catch you in the next one.